Out Boy, good to see you.
Hi.
Pete, Patrick, Andy. Joe obviously can't be here because he's had some sad news recently, so we send him lots and lots of love. But really great to have you guys back in the UK 14 years down the line.
Crazy. It's crazy to have 14 years that you can think back on. Like, that's insane that we've even been a band a year.
It means we're just getting to the, as a band, to, the acne stage, the weirdness. Great.
The
It's going to be real awkward.
And I suppose with your sixth studio album as well, American Beauty, American Psycho, what was the sort of starting point for you guys with that album? What was your aim for that record?
I think it, when Patrick came with this idea for Centuries, which sounded crazy on paper, with this Tom's Diner sample and, being anthemic, and then it really worked. It, lit the fuse, and we needed to write, and record the rest of the album kind of around that. But I think we wanted to reach other areas and go beyond what we did with Save Rock and Roll, and, some of that was we reached out to this DJ, Sebastian, in France to help us create the title track itself, because in America, I feel like we have these modern rock stations that don't play rock that's modern at all, and we were trying to think of something that what would modern rock or futuristic rock sound like, and he helped us with that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's kind of part of the thing is you have to look outside of, a world sometimes to find a great perspective on it. I think and we've always kind of tried that. We did a rock song with Sebastian years ago. We did a rock song with Babyface. It's
so
just
it helped
cool
to have that outside perspective, I guess, as well for you guys. Have you got a favourite track off the album? Is it possible to say?
I'll say that my favorite one currently is this one called Jetpack Blues. I just like it. I feel like there's some songs where it's more Patrick or more Joe or more, and that one just feels like a good mix of all of our kind of tastes.
Yeah, I'd say for me, the one that I can listen to the most is probably the title track, because there's something that song was written in its entirety in the span of 5 minutes. Really,
they're the best ones, right?
Yeah,
and they're quick.
And that's the thing. As an artist, it's really hard to see past the work you've put into something. So whatever, it's really hard to you listen to something and you can only hear mistakes or whatever.
Yeah.
That one I barely remember. So because it just kind of flowed out of us.
And I feel like we got a bunch of stuff kind of wrong, because we were talking through Google Translate in French and English, so it was I think this is what we're trying to say, but when you get it kind of wrong and it's somehow right, whatever.
That's great.
So cool.
And you have a track on the album called Uma Thurman as well, which you had to actually have kind of the thumbs up from Uma to release that track. How do you get hold of such a woman, and what did she say?
Hey, we noticed you were at the grocery store, but we have this is not going to be weird. No, so in the past
we've been following you around.
Yeah, we are your stalkers.
Would you sign this for us?
In the past, we tried to do another song, and we kind of ran into a lot of legal problems and had to name the song. Our lawyer made us change the name of the song.
Annoying.
Yeah. So we reached out, and in some weird version of the world, Uma Thurman has heard that song, and that we were that's awesome.
That's great.
Very
maybe she hasn't, but we think that she has.
Just keep the idea that she has, and all be okay. That's awesome. And how are you feeling about getting out there and actually playing these tracks live?
Pretty excited.
Yeah.
Pretty excited. It's always terrifying for me, because now I have a whole, and especially when we feel so good about a record, we know we're going to play a lot of it, and then I'm like, oh man, I have a lot lot to memorize.
Yeah. And some high notes to hit.
Yeah,
with this new record.
There are some high notes, and hopefully I don't have to hit them too early in the morning. And I think I'll be okay.
I made you do.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's okay.
By the way, for that.
Anytime. Oh, but it is such an accomplishment in such a bizarre industry where it can be quite fickle and no one knows exactly where they stand. It must feel really lovely to have sort of stood the test of time as a band.
Yeah, and I think we still don't know what we're doing, which might be why we're here, I guess. I feel like if you're too sure of yourself, maybe then that's when you get into trouble.
Because also you have this unique Fall Out Boy sound that you've kept very strongly throughout your career, but you have kept sort of refreshing it for your fans and for new bands getting on board as well. Has that been an easy thing to do?
I'd say sometimes not, because part of you wants to, you get comfortable and you just want to, you figure out how to write, for every album, you figure out how to write a song that sounds like this, whatever that album is. And you kind of take a step back and you're like, and you admire it and you're like, oh, that's great. And then you know, you could just do that again. I mean, you could go through the motions and do it over again. But, you know, every time you kind of have to rediscover something. You have to find something new.
It's got to be fun for us, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, feel like we're creating and contributing something.
We've dabbled in acting, but we're not great enough actors to fake it when you don't enjoy it. You
But
know?
people see it, don't they? If you're not enjoying yourselves, people will see through that. So I think you've definitely like hit the nail on the head. It's got to be the element of fun for a band, definitely, and you can see that with you guys the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, we were learning Uptown Funk in Patrick's hotel room last night. Like, I was like, we're a professional band. Like,
So,
this is insane.
The craziest thing, and both of these guys were on their way to work out, and neither could, like, you know, in shorts, like I gotta get out of here in a minute, like,
Yeah,
you know,
we didn't learn it at the same time. I came in and I was like, I know it. It goes from this to this. Okay, I'm out.
crazy.
You're letting all your secrets out. We thought you'd been rehearsing for weeks.
yeah, no,
But
we're
it sounded so
a
good.
very off the cuff kind of band.
That's
so-
good.
We've always been like very punk rock, and we keep that spirit. You know, I think that probably actually helps with our, you know, lasting this long. As
Yeah.
you know, don't take ourselves too seriously.
Right, now get ready for a cover. Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars. This is Fall Out Boy covering Uptown Funk. How has touring life changed now you, Pete and Patrick, have children?
Well, we don't have to ground Andy anymore. We have actual children that we can put in time out.
That's good. He's grateful.
Mine's not old enough to
Yeah.
put in time out yet, but you know, I still get to do
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
Bad.
I think that, you know, this is the life we live. These are our, you know, this is our career. This is what we do. And so, my family's gotten to be pretty mobile, and we, you know, hit the road and
They come with you?
Yeah, as much as possible. You know, and it's cool because it's like, I think a lot of people will be like, well, what does your kid like love that you're in a band or whatever? And it's like, no, this is like going to your dad's office.
Yeah,
like,
it's completely normal
like
to them,
The
I guess.
photocopier is cool, and the like the machine that like laminates everything. You know, it's like
Bronx being the oldest of any of the kids, it's pretty awesome watching him come out on tour because he could not care less.
Right.
Like we're on the side of the stage, you know, we'll be putting on the best show, and you see him, he's on his little Game Boy
he's
or
on,
whatever.
like the DS.
Yeah.
He's a good he's a good gauge of pop music. Like,
Yeah,
when he
yeah.
sings a song, you know, he sings that song Say Geronimo, but he thinks, because my other son is Saint is his name, so he thinks it's Saint Geronimo. That's pretty like awesome.
That's
I'm like, I
cute.
don't want to change that one.
No, that's so sweet.
Don't ever break that.
What's been the most memorable tour for you guys throughout your 14 years?
I mean, I'd still say the first one because every show got canceled, and we went totally broke, and you know, and it's like, and it's kind of crazy, like those thinking about, you know, being. And I remember we had just done this drive to Idaho, and it was like, you know, that was such a long drive too. I mean, it had to be tens of hours. I don't really remember. I didn't do a lot of the driving. But we got all the way there, and then the show was canceled. And I just remember sitting there like, well, I didn't go to school for this, so this better
No
work
time
out.
wasted.
Yeah. But
And do you remember your first ever live show?
Oh man.
as a band, or
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, was it in DePaul?
at DePaul.
Good, bad, ugly?
Everyone was like, "This band is going to be hugely successful."
So we actually, it was really funny. We played, to give you an idea of how out of step we were with the bands. There was this band that was like really mathy, kind of grindy metal, and then there was another band that played Black Sabbath's Black Sabbath album in its entirety, and that was,
Why?
and then there was Fall Out Boy playing their first show, and we were horrible. We played like 3 songs.
First year Fall Out Boy shows was like 4 songs as fast as possible, and instruments
Totally.
like stage dive into the wall. Instruments need to go somewhere else. It's
Yeah.
not.
And actually, it was not uncommon for one of us to just totally lose and or break an instrument, and then we had to complete the set without
Wow.
that member. Like that was a
Stitches.
Yeah,
there's all that
yeah.
kind of
Last
stuff.
day, I forgot about
But
that.
now look at you. It's all worked out so beautifully. It really has.
Yeah.
And what I love about you as a band is that you always have been exceedingly open and honest about the break that you needed as a band in 2009. Do you think that hiatus was something that actually saved you as a group?
Oh yeah, I think it's funny talking to people about the idea of a hiatus, and you know, I said something the other day about, you know, well, all the bands that did this broke up, and they're like, well, you broke up too, guys. And it's like, no, we didn't. I mean, that's the point, is that, like, if we broke up, like, we talked the entire time we were on hiatus. We were still planning on being a band the entire time we were on hiatus. It was
But it could have been a break.
It could have been if we hadn't done it right. I think it would have. But
without taking that time off, we would have imploded.
yeah.
So do you think the problems that sort of initiated that break have since dissipated with, I guess, age and wisdom, and you are sort of stronger now?
I think we have like more empathy for each other, you know, and I think that, you know, as silly as it is, like, of a word, like, we've matured a little bit, you know, at least like we're more adult-like now.
You know, a big thing too was that we all did these side projects, and for what it's worth, those were really interesting because we had to, when you're a solo artist, you know, when you're in a band, you have a job that's part of, you know, that has all these responsibilities that are specific to you, right? Like, I sing. I don't have to worry about the bass. I don't have to worry about the drums. I don't have to worry about, you know, Pete handles a lot more of the business decisions and always has, right? So I don't talk to management as much. When I had to do the solo thing, then it totally gave me a different perspective on arguments that we had over the years. I'm like,
Really?
oh, that's what you were trying to say, because this is the conversation that I know you just had with whoever, right? And kind of same thing. Like, I know you were dealing with way more of the production and music and whatever. And I don't know. And I think ultimately, I think we understand each other way better now.
Yeah, definitely. And when you got back together and decided that you wanted to make a new record, what were the differences that you saw within the music industry? Because so much happened within that time.
So much happened. I think that there was a huge sonic differences in the way music is recorded.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, you can do so much of it more on your own. But even more than that, like, music delivery had completely changed. You know, people streamed everything.
Yeah.
People wanted to listen to, you know, like, one song and then move on to another song and that kind of stuff. And to be honest with you, it actually helped our band a lot, because we were always kind of like a genre-bending band. Like, everyone was like, it's too pop for rock, it's too rock. You know, like, we had Jay-Z on songs, you know, like, and people, you know, like... So I think that with people listening to just songs, it has made genre less important, and like, that was exciting for us to come back and be like, hey, we can go record with Ryan Adams, like a punk record with Ryan Adams, just because we want to do it. You know, like, we could do 12 videos and turn it into a movie. You know, like, it just stuff that was not.
One of them has Elton John in it. Go figure. You know,
Yeah,
you know
why
what I'm
not?
saying?
Do what you like.
Yeah.
And how did you find even sort of the stronger forge between music and social media? Because that kind of really heightened as well during that time. Do you find that a hindrance or a help?
I think it's both, because I think it's still in its infancy, really. I think this is going to be something that continues to evolve, you know, because you're so able to talk to your audience, and your audience is able to talk to you, which is a different thing, you know. Like, when you think about all the brave, crazy records that, you know, I don't know, any artist made in the 70s, they never heard from anybody. So they would put out, you know, a record, and maybe there'd be some fans who'd be like, oh man, I like the last one, sound more like that, whatever. Now they can find you and they can say that to your face. And so it's kind of, but it's interesting, because you get both of them. You get a lot more positivity than you would expect, and you get a lot more negativity than you would expect. And you kind of have to pick and choose a little bit.
And what do you see the future of Fall Out Boy looking like? Can you see yourselves on stage at 60 still doing this?
I feel like it was weird. It would be weird for us to have 14 years ago said we would be doing it, you know,
really?
14 years later. Or to say that we'd be playing arenas in the UK or like any of that stuff. And, you know, I always think of like the Mick Jagger, like, I couldn't picture myself, you know, or whatever. And it's like, I think the greatest part about our band is it's like this journey that doesn't, you know, like, when we were just in here trying to get like our instruments to work, it's like, well, I hope this works, like, but the ship's gonna set sail anyway, you know, like, and I think that that's kind of, our band's a bit of an adventure, so it could be cool to be doing it when we're 60.
Yeah, I mean,
I bet you wheelchairs will be a lot better by then.
I mean, I could totally see us doing it. The biggest thing for us is always creating something. So if we don't have ideas, if we don't have new ideas, then we probably wouldn't, but I would hope we have new ideas.
If they run out of ideas, I'm going to kill them and eat them.
Okay, get those Post-it notes out immediately.
I know, right?
Yeah, completely. And look, long live Fall Out Boy is what we say here at Radio 1. And thank you so much for having a chat with us today.
Thank you.
Now we're going to see a track that Fall Out Boy performed for us earlier on in the live lounge. This is American Beauty, American Psycho.